What's up guys, my name is Ace, and in yesterday's video, I mentioned that the UAV bug that we've been experiencing since Season 4 has been fixed. However, it turns out it looks like this is just deeper than I expected, and it has not been properly fixed yet. So once again, we've got another video talking about this because this is a very important issue that does directly impact gameplay to a fairly large degree. Just a quick recap of this, with the start of Season 4, UAVs were starting to show enemy players in real time, and we're talking a standard UAV, not an advanced UAV, and only advanced UAVs are meant to do that. And this makes UAVs extremely powerful, it leads to a whole lot of snowballing in matches, and it makes the Ghost perk basically necessary now. Well, in yesterday's video, I mentioned that I hopped on, I did some testing, and it looked like it had been fixed. In fact, this is the exact game that I hopped on yesterday to test, and this to me showed that the UAV was working as intended. As you can see here, those red diamonds are only appearing as the sweep comes in, or if they're firing an unsuppressed gun. And it doesn't follow the player in real time, it just shows their current position at the moment of the sweep. So just based on that, as far as I could tell, it looked like it was clearly fixed because it was working as intended in that particular match. However, in yesterday's video, I had a bunch of people commenting saying it's not fixed for them and the UAV is still broken and showing players in real time. So I hopped back on today to do some deeper testing here, and it turns out this bug is worse than I thought because it's just inconsistent. It doesn't apply to every match. And I can't figure out what determines whether or not the UAV will be broken or not in a match. So here's the first game where I hopped in this morning to test, and again, the UAV is working as intended here. Those dots are just appearing as the sweep is starting to come in, and it's not following the player in real time. Then the very next match that I played, the UAV bug is present, where it's actually working as the inverse of how it's supposed to work here. So when the UAV is not sweeping, it's going to show the enemy diamonds in real time. And then when the UAV does sweep, it briefly stops that real-time display, and in that brief stopping point, that's when it should be showing those diamonds and the position of those diamonds, and in between sweeps, it shouldn't be showing them at all. Now let's jump into the next game that I tested here, and this time we saw a totally different UAV behavior that's still technically broken. And with this, instead of seeing the inverse like the match we just saw, now as the UAV sweeps, it reveals the enemy diamond, and it will actually follow them for about 3 or 4 seconds after they're marked by the sweep. So it's not the inverse, but it's also not working the way that UAVs normally would work before Season 4, where it just shows a brief snapshot of the current position as the sweep goes by, without ever following the player in real time after that snapshot. In this case, it does follow them for several seconds. So that's now 3 completely different UAV behaviors in 3 different matches, all in the same game mode. I'm going to ignore that bounty one that I just showed you, but if we look at the one I tested yesterday and kill confirmed, that's 3 completely different UAV behaviors. Now, perhaps it's just kill confirmed that's broken, because that's primarily what I've been testing with, so I hopped into some TDM games to see how it was working there, and the first TDM game I got into, it was working as intended. You can see when the sweeps come, it reveals the diamonds. You can also see the ghost perk is clearly working. I got into this game a bit late, and some people had ghosts, but a couple people didn't. And the ones that weren't using ghosts, they would show up, but it would never follow them in real time unless they were shooting their gun at the same time. But then the very next TDM game that I got into, we were once again seeing the inverse of this, where their real-time position is being tracked when the UAV is not sweeping, and then when it does sweep, it briefly stops that real-time positioning. Now, I had a bit of a theory with this. Maybe this was bugged out only if you joined a game late, or if you joined from the beginning, maybe that would have an effect. But with all the games that I tested, there was still inconsistency here. There was no clear answer to that. Also, maybe I thought one of the perks is bugged out, and if you use a certain perk, it causes the UAV behavior to change. That's not the case. I also ensured that with every single one of these clips, there was only ever one UAV in the air, and it was always my UAV that I called in. So it doesn't seem to be a bugged inconsistency with maybe just teammates' UAVs working one way and your UAV working another way. Or if your team had multiple UAVs in the air, it would work a different way. And with all those variables controlled for, that just leaves me scratching my head. I don't know why some matches the UAV is working properly and other matches it isn't. And to me, this is an even bigger problem because there's just general inconsistency, and I don't even know if this is working the same for every player within the same game as well. Maybe the UAV is working normally for me, but my enemies have the broken version of the UAV that's way more powerful. I have no idea and no method of properly testing that right now. And this leaves me really questioning the game at the moment because, like I said, this is a pretty big deal. This has a big impact on how a match is going to play out. With a standard UAV working as intended, it gives a nice little boost to your team, a nice bonus to your team, but it's not completely broken. It's not something that's going to lead to a ridiculous amount of snowballing. where one UAV is immediately going to chain to a bunch of other UAVs for your team, and it's going to make it that much more difficult for the other team to ever get a UAV in the air. So as of right now, this is currently the most serious issue plaguing at least Modern Warfare 2's multiplayer, and this needs to get acknowledged, this needs to get fixed. I am dreading the end of the X-Defiant beta and having to come back and play this game just because of this UAV bug. Without the bug, I actually generally have fun and enjoyment playing this, but now not even knowing whether or not a UAV is working properly and whether or not my UAV is behaving the same way as the enemy player's UAV, that's a really big problem that needs to be taken care of as soon as possible. This isn't just like a weird edge case bug where it only applies to some people or like a particular attachment is bugged out or anything. This is something that seriously impacts the gameplay, and still, this hasn't even been acknowledged by any official channels whatsoever. So there you go, that's your update on this. The UAV is not fixed at the moment. There is inconsistency with this. You definitely want to be using the ghost perk as well as a suppressor muzzle, not an integrated suppress barrel, because that's another bug that still hasn't been resolved yet with this game. And I realize I'm sounding like a broken record here with a lot of this stuff, but it's just frustrating to me. It's not that I hate this game. It's not that I'm just trying to pile on negativity. It's just that this game is constantly being held back by stupid issues like this that are so basic and fundamental to the gameplay itself that we've never really had to experience before in the COD franchise. So I'm not making these videos to just capitalize on negativity because negativity tends to get more clicks. I'm making these videos because I genuinely care, I'm passionate about this, and I want at least the fundamentals of this game to be working properly. And right now, they aren't. In either case, at least I do have a little bit of positive news for you guys. Yesterday, we did get an update from the COD Updates Twitter account with Black Ops Cold War. They have implemented a security update on all platforms, and this to me should be a sign that Cold War is now safe to play, where people won't be able to grab your IP address, at least not nearly as easily with that tool that was out there. And it probably is safe to play. However, they did mention additional updates are in progress, and so they didn't officially confirm like, yes, you're 100% good to go with Cold War. So I guess it just depends on what level of risk you're willing to take. To me, I take this as a sign that Cold War is likely safe to play now. But obviously, if you want to approach this with an abundance of caution, I'd maybe wait to see a few more updates from them, since they did mention that more are coming. At the very least, it is good to see that they're not just completely sweeping this issue under the rug and ignoring it entirely. They are actively working on it, and therefore that is good news, and I am excited to be able to go back and do a throwback video, for instance, for Black Ops Cold War, now that it at least seems like it should be safe to play. And with that, that is going to wrap it up for today's video. I am curious to hear your thoughts on the fact that this UAV bug is still there, and not only that, it's also inconsistent and is going to work different on a match-to-match basis. If you enjoyed this one, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.